Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Here she goes. Great ass! And you got your head all the way up it. Say hello to my little friend.
Hoo-ah! Oh, yeah. I'm the hand of Mona Lisa's skirt. I'm a surprise, Kevin. They don't see me coming.
Do you like ecstasy?
Oh, I love it. But not tonight. See, I'm being a good boy tonight.
Yeah, I can tell.
Hello all and welcome back to my Al Pacino retrospective review series in which we cover every single movie of Al Pacino's legendary career. This of course is Jeff 11 Bronson, and today we're taking a look at the 2002 drama thriller People I Know, which although yes released in 2000, well IMDb says 2002 and the original premiere and the first showing of the film was indeed 2002, but I think it was Italy or Mexico. It wasn't released for the US market, and a very limited release at that, to be fair, in 2003, I think in February 2003. And it didn't hit UK cinemas, again limited I think, until 2004. So what happened with this film? What happened? Well, let's give you the deets first. It stars Al Pacino, Teá Leoni, Kim Basinger, Ryan O'Neal, Richard Schiff, Bill Nunn and Robert Klein among others. And it's directed by Daniel Algrant. Yeah, I think I checked on IMDb, I think he only has like 4 or 5 credits in total in his entire career, so he has not done much, so a pretty unknown, not really a known director, so to speak. A very obscure film, this one indeed. Many people haven't even heard of this one. I think it was officially or originally filmed in 2001, and I think they filmed it, they completed filming and editing and stuff on, and the whole production process I think was finished in 2001. I think 10 days from what I've read before the events of 9/11. Of course, this being a New York City based film, New York set film. They also had shots of the World Trade Center in there, of course, so they had to do some tweaks in post-production, had to reshoot some scenes again from what I've heard. So this is a trouble film and a costly film, and it didn't end up making that much. But is it necessarily a terrible film? Well, that's what we're here to discuss. So join me in taking a look at People I Know from 2002, or again 2003 or maybe 2004. But again, IMDb says 2002 original release date. So here we go. The plot of the movie goes as follows. Eli Werman, played by Al Pacino, is a down-on-his-luck PR agent from the state of Georgia, now operating in New York City. His only major client left is Carrie Lawner, played by Ryan O'Neal, who asks him to do a favor for him. One night partying got a bit out of hand, and a model/actress/call girl named Jilly Hopper, played by Teá Leoni, was put in jail while in Carrie's presence, and he would like Eli to bail her out. What Eli doesn't know, however, is that Hopper got herself mixed up in some high-level business with a lot of dangerous and high-level individuals, which might also include his big and only client. A plot is formed to take out Hopper, and Eli is in the thick of it without realizing the dangerous game that's being played, since he is too caught up in organizing a benefit for the African-American community in Harlem. All the while, his widowed sister-in-law, Vicky, played by Kim Basinger, is in town and shares her intimate feelings she has towards Eli since his brother and her husband passed. Will Eli realize the plot he has gotten himself involved with, or will he leave town and settle down with Vicky? Watch the movie to find out, of course. Al Pacino does a really good job in this one as per usual. Again, a much different kind of character than most of the roles he's played throughout his career. As a PR agent from the state of Georgia, he has a southern accent going on in the film, which I found to be a mostly successful effort, though I really had to get used to it at first. Pacino doing an accent is of course nothing new to me, as he's already demonstrated this with the likes of Scarface, Carlito's Way, and even his British accent in the local Stigmatic. I would say for the most part, and for my untrained Dutch ears, it's a good effort of a southern accent, though I have heard from a few reviewers of this that they have found the southern drawl to be a bit grating and annoying, so make it out what you will. All in all, for me, it's a really good performance, with his scenes with Kim Basinger being a particular highlight in the film, and I thought that they worked beautifully together in this. Moving on to Basinger, like I said, I think she does a really good job in this, though sadly she's not in it as much as I would have liked it, to be fair. But for the amount of time that she's in the film, definitely a highlight for sure. I've always really appreciated her as an actress and find her a joy to watch in pretty much anything she pops up in. Ryan O'Neal as the slimy star Kerry Lawner does a good job in this one as well. I haven't seen him in too many films, to be fair, with the only big film coming to mind for me and the favourite I've seen him in being Walter Hill's The Driver from 1978. In this one, however, he does a fine job in a performance I can't really fault at all, with definitely more screen time than Basinger and a more prevalent role, definitely a standout in the film for sure. Rest of the cast performed solid as well, and the film is decently directed by Daniel Algrant with some good shots and clever editing choices throughout. I personally have not seen much more from this director and only found about 3 or 4 other credits in his filmography on IMDb. Maybe the film would have fared a bit better if it had been a more known and established director, as this definitely wasn't at all considered a hit when released. Like I said, it sat on the shelf, and by the time all the dust was settled, the film ended up making about only $5.5 million worldwide, against an estimated budget of about $22 million, with audiences and critics being generally negative to mixed on it. On Rotten Tomatoes, it holds a 45% critic score and a 31% audience score, and it only has a 5.4 on IMDb, which might actually be the first time it's almost a 1-to-1 with my own personal score for this one, as my final rating for it is 5.5 stars out of 10. Nothing inherently wrong with the film per se, but it's just a really average watch compared to many other similar films and even many other Pacino films. I recommend just watching it once since it's a rare one, and I doubt this is going to be popping up in people's Pacino's top 10s and 20s anytime soon. For Pacino purists though, definitely an interesting one to check out and add to the collection, that's for sure. And that's that. So there you guys have it. That was my review for People I Know from 2002, or again 2003, 2004 again. It doesn't really. For the first time, pretty much ever, it's a IMDb rating I kind of agree with. Again, there's just one little point, that where I'm a little bit higher. So 5.5 is my rating. It has a 5.4 on IMDb. The critics don't like it much. The audience didn't like it much on Rotten Tomatoes. But it's not a downright terrible movie. It's just there's nothing really too much special about it. Pacino does a great job as always. Kim Basinger is great, but it feels, I do feel she's a bit wasted. Ryan O'Neal delivers a solid performance. Teá Leoni does a great job for the limited amount she's on screen. Yeah, not really too much I can fault about this film, but it's just nothing special, so I do recommend, as always, for Pacino purists like me, because of course us Pacino purists, we gotta see every single Pacino film, and this is definitely an interesting one. He does a little, he does a different role. I don't think he's ever played a PR agent since or before, so it's definitely, it shows his versatility as an actor once again. It shows he can truly play every part and any role he chooses, to be fair. He has a southern accent going on, which is kind of weird in this film to hear him talk like this. But you can get used to it, and it's it's not a patch on his Cuban accent in Scarface, which of course people do criticize as well. I actually think the Cuban accent there is pretty damn solid. Of course, Pacino said that it was not meant to be a 100% authentic accent in Scarface. It was over dramatized, over the top, because that was the whole nature of the film. The whole film was over the top, so Pacino adapted to that. That's what he said. So, but yeah, southern accent. This one again, you can kind of debate if he did a good job. It's sometimes his New York accent comes through a bit more. It's sort of. There were a few points where I was like, oh, maybe Al should have done a retake of that with the accent, because that was more like natural Pacino rather than southern Pacino. But who am I to judge? I'm not an actor. Of course, Pacino is the greatest actor in my opinion, so it's all good and well with me. Anyway, that was People I Know from 2002. Like I said, it's not the greatest film, but also not the worst film. I certainly would not have this as my worst or least favorite Pacino film. He has done stuff like, I would probably watch this one over Revolution. I would probably watch this over Jack and Jill for sure. I would watch this. There's a few I would watch this over. I would watch this over The Local Stickmatic, I think, as well. And maybe even Chinese Coffee. But again, I do give Chinese Coffee a higher rating, but I don't know. It's hard to judge there with those two down. But it's not a bad film. It's not a great film. It's really just down a middle of the road kind of film. Anyway, next week we're going to be taking a look at a film that I do hold in pretty high regard and I have a lot of nostalgia for, so let's see if that holds up on the rewatch. Next week we're taking a look at 2003's spy thriller, The Recruit, starring Al Pacino and Colin Farrell in this one, directed by Roger Donaldson. One of the earliest films of Pacino that I must have seen back in the day for sure. This one, it's Scarface, and I think we had the DVD of 88 Minutes, which is coming up in this season as well. I'm pretty much goddamn sure that one of the first films I saw beyond that was The Recruit. So I do hold this one, and I do have a lot of nostalgia for it, like I said. So let's see if that still holds up next week when we take a look at it, when I rewatched it for the review. And with that having been said, first up, a shout out to my members, Crushers Movies and Games and Craig the Half. Thank you so much for being members. If you guys also want to be members and support the channel, you can do so in the link down in the description. Members do get early access to these Pacino reviews. So if you want to get an early peek at the Pacino reviews that are coming up, do consider becoming a member. And again, it would help the channel out tremendously. So with that having been said, stay safe and healthy and keep punching. And we will see you next week for The Recruit. Some more Al Pacino, baby. Hooah! Take care.